E.N.D here. With the release of Domina United, standard rotation will kick in and surely some heavy, strong played decks will see their end. Let's play the last arena games with my Naya Enchantment deck. Opening hand is okay, I already have my Naya colors, white, red and green. There's a layer of the Hydra and let's put the Generous Visitor in play. Generous Visitor is a very important creature in this deck, can pump the other creatures or pump itself. Let's put a white source and let's play the Circle of Confinement and let's remove Tenacious Underdog. Very nasty creature, especially thanks to its Blitz ability. My Generous Visitor is already a 2/2, which is good. There's Wedding Announcement, heavily played enchantment. Let's put a green source. Let's put a Rune of Might on my Generous Visitor. So my Generous Visitor get a +1/+1. Get also another +1/+1 and now has Trample. Brutal Qatar. We have drawn Brutal Qatar. I added Brutal Qatar to this deck because Brutal Qatar is a very strong creature. It's a creature. It's a removal. Can do 2 jobs. Okay, Wedding Announcement, another human token. Now, let's put a red source in play. And let's play Brutal Qatar. Brutal Qatar is very effective, especially against token creatures. So, the vampire is gone, the lifelink vampire is gone. And let's kill Sorin the Mirthless. Okay, we are playing very good. Unless my opponent has a way, no, he cycled Raffine Tower. Unless my opponent has a way to remove my creatures, I think we are in for doing. Now it's night. Okay, his creatures are 2/2. Let's play Circle of Confinement. Let's put a +1/+1 on the Brute and let's remove one of those creatures. I can play the Rune of Might, but let's put a white source in play and let's put Rune of Might and a +1/+1 on my Generous Visitor. Now both creatures are 5/5 and he just conceded. I was saying that next turn, thanks because I played 2 spells, the Brute will transform back to Brutal Qatar and I will remove another token creature. Was a very good, very fast game. Naya Enchantment, when it starts to combo, it is unstoppable. Another game, let's see, opening hand, not the best opening hand, but let's hope for a third land. No third land, but I have a green source and a Generous Visitor, so I can play a turn 1 creature. I have Rune for Champion, I have Rune of Might. There's the Naturalist. Okay, let's put the Naturalist in play. Now my enchantment, I can play my enchantment with 1 less, less mana. Okay, my opponent playing Orzo, Professor of Symbology, is going to learn Environmental Science. Okay, for a basic land. No land, unfortunately, I didn't draw any land. So in this case, I can play another Jukai Naturalist. Put a +1/+1 on my first Naturalist and swing for 3. He didn't block. I get 3 life. Environmental Science to search for a basic land. I really need a basic land, even from my side. Sometimes you are flooded. Yes, I needed that red source. Sometimes you are flooded with lands, or sometimes you don't draw a land. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Let's put that enchantment in play. Let's remove the Professor of Symbology. Okay, now I'm going combo. And let's play Rune of Might. So the game is over. If my opponent doesn't have any way of removing all my creatures, a board wipe. And I don't think, yes, Doomscar, maybe Doomscar. If he has a 4th land, he can play a Doomscar. But I think the game is over. If he doesn't have a way of board wipe, and he just conceded. He needed a board wipe, he didn't have a board wipe, and the game was over. I told you, when this deck starts to combo, it is unstoppable. Only board wipes can really hurt a lot this deck. Let's play a third game. Opening hand is okay. 3 lands, 2 visitors, 1 naturalist, and a Hallowed Haunting. Let's put a green source and let's put Generous Visitor. I played the Boseo who endures only because I need those 2 white swords for the Hello Haunting. So let's reserve those 2 lands for the white source. And no land drawn, so let's put a white source and let's put the Jukai Naturalist. Let's put a +1/+1 counter on my visitor. He's a red, he's probably playing mono red or Boros colors. Very nasty deck, Boros colors. Very nasty. Play with fire. Okay, my visitor is gone. But I still have my Naturalist. Probably he has another removal spell. Okay, Boros colors, I thought so. Another play with fire. Okay. That was a nasty move. Let's put the Sundown Pass and Room 4 champion. Let's get back something from my deck. Rune of Might is one of the best choice you can have. Especially when you're playing against the deck that removal spells are all damage based. Royal Eruption. Okay, I couldn't put my Rune of Might in time. So let's put Hallowed Haunting in play. Okay, they can do a lot of damage. Just these decks, the Boros or Lorehold decks can do a lot of damage, but they don't have enchantment removal. Let's put the Generous Visitor in play and let's put a green source. And let's put Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And let's start creating spirits. Thanks to Hello Haunting. I'm at 20, he's at 20. There's another Luminarch Aspirant. Okay, he's going to pump one or the same one. I think he has some sort of a removal. At this stage, if he's going to swing a Royal Eruption, okay. He already played 2 Royal Eruption and 2 Play with Fire. 4/4, I'm not going to block at this stage. I still have an enchantment, okay. Touch the Spirit Limb. I'm not going, I can play both cards, so I'm going to play Rune of Might on my Spirit. I'm creating another Spirit. There's a Kami. Okay, let's remove the 4/4 Aspirant and create another Spirit. And let's swing with my 2 creatures and also creating a treasure. Same thing here. If my opponent doesn't have a board wipe, and probably this deck might have a board wipe. Valor Stance. Okay, 1 creature is gone. 1 creature is gone. There's a land. I think the game now is nearly over. I don't have an enchantment in hand. I have only a Kami. There's an enchantment. I think now the game is over. I will play the Kami. I will play the Circle of Confinement. Pumping the Kami and creating another Spirit, and the game is over. Okay, I told you so. Kami and Circle of Confinement, the game was over. Nothing in my opponent's hand, and therefore I could have swing and destroy my opponent. Let's play another game. As you can see, I'm trying to play against the most popular decks in Arena or Standard. Opening hand, not the best opening hand, only 2 lands, but let's risk it. Sometimes you need to risk a little bit in the hope of finding another land. This deck has a quite number of lands, and I don't know why I don't always draw lands. It's the same thing. Or you draw lands, or you don't draw lands. Or you are flooded, or you are screwed. At least there's the land. Brutal Qatar. Okay, let's risk a move, playing the Brutal Qatar on that creature. Because if they remove Brutal Qatar, that creature will be back in play. Brutal Qatar is ideal for token creatures, because once you remove a token creature, it can't get back. As you can see, probably my opponent is going to target my Brutal Qatar and destroy it. At least my Kami of Transience will still be alive. Let's see what my opponent is deciding. Surely he's going to play Blood Shifters. I thought so. Surely he's going to play a removal spell. Don't tell me you have the second. Okay, he removed my red source. Unfortunately, That was my only red source, but now I can put Jetmir's Garden, which now I have the 3 colors. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Neo Silencer, for removing that particular land. Now I have a better choice of lands, or colors in this case. Brutal Qatar, let's pump Brutal Qatar. Let's swing with Brutal Qatar and get 3 life. But it's a nice game. Sorin the Mirthless, that's a dangerous creature. That's a dangerous planeswalker, sorry. And always they create that creature. Now, let's put in play the Jukai Naturalist. Let's put in play the Rune of Might. I'm not going to put my +1/+1 counters on the same creature, only because if my creature dies, my winning condition will go home. He didn't block. Okay, with Trample, I was going to kill Sorin. Anyway, so he kept the creature, he's swinging. Now he's going to play some sort of a board wipe, or he's going to play Deadly Dispute. Meathook Massacre. Meathook Massacre 4-3, and my Brutal Qatar is still alive. Okay, very risky move. Coming of Transcendence gets back in my hand. As you can see, unfortunately, I don't have lands. I didn't draw any land. Let's put the Generous Visitor and let's put the Jukai Naturalist. Okay, let's pump the Brutal Qatar. Now let's go for some damage. I'm going for their life. I'm at 31, they are at 13. Nothing from my opponent's side. Now my Brutal Qatar became a brute with ward, and they just conceded. I didn't know what their intention was here, because if they didn't have anything in hand, the game was over. Okay, the game was over. Anyway, they just conceded. Very nice win. Let's play another game. I told you I'm going to play against the most popular decks on Arena. This opening hand was very good, with the Generous Visitor, Jukai Naturalist, and the Rune of Might in hand. Let's put the Generous Visitor in play. That is the ideal turn 1 play for this deck. Turn 1, Generous Visitor. And then turn 2, Jukai Naturalist. And the ideal will be turn 3, Rune 4 Champion. And that should be the best way how we can start the game with this deck. Let's put a Jukai Naturalist in play and +1/+1 my Generous Visitor. There's pinging for 2 damage. Let's wait for my opponent, what they are going to do. Green source in play. Let's put the Sundown pass. Rune of Speed. And I'm pumping my Jukai Naturalist. When you're playing this deck, the ideal is that you don't pump the same creature. Try to distribute those +1/+1 counters on various creatures, because if they remove the biggest creature, and Naya Enchantment has very low casting cost creatures, so they can be easily destroyed with certain spells. There's a Shakedown Heavy. I can put a Generous Visitor in play. Let's put a Rune of Might on my first Generous Visitor. Okay. Now I can go. Unfortunately, I didn't have another green source. They need to block one of my creatures. They block one. They block the Generous Visitor. Thanks to the Trample, they are at 3. I am at 30. Now, if they don't have a way of removing both creatures, Binding of the Gods. Okay. Okay, they are still alive. They are still alive. Okay, and the game is over. I can put the Jukai Naturalist and put a +1/+1 counter on my Generous Visitor. Let's play the Rune of Might on my Generous Visitor and plus a +1/+1 counter on my Generous Visitor, and the game is over. I told you the game is over. Thanks to that Rune of Might, the game was over. Another good game from my side. I told you, when this deck starts to combo, it's unstoppable, and you can have any Planeswalker, any big creature, but you're going to lose. Opening hand, very good. Let's put Jetmir Garden in play, and that gives you an option of the 3 colors, of the 3 Naya colors: the red, the white, and the green. Kumano faces Kakazan. Okay, this is probably a mono red or a Boros deck, which means that they are going to play certain haste fast creatures with certain removal spells. Boros colors, okay. Bloodthirsty Adversary, it's a 3-3, and they are going, thanks to haste, they are going to swing 4-3. I'm at 16, they are at 20. Let's put in play the Jukai Naturalist, and let's put in play Green Source and a Rune of Might on my Jukai Naturalist. The only reason why I played this particular series of spells is because this deck, usually they play with fire, which deals 2 damage, or Royal Eruption, which does 3 damage, and they've kicked 5. So if they have play with fire, they cannot kill my Jukai Naturalist or Kami of Transscience, and if they have, and they didn't have the Royal Eruption, they can kill only my Jukai Naturalist because it's 3 damage. Now, I think Luminar Aspirant will pump the Kumano, probably will pump Kumano. I don't think I will block the Kumano. At this stage I better take 6 damage, because in my next turn I'm going to play Rune Force Champion. Come on, what are you going to do? In my next turn I'm going to play Rune Force Champion, get some nice rune from my deck, and swing. Okay, they are thinking, yes, it's not the ideal position. They can swing with the Bloodthirsty Adversary and the Etching of Kumano. Probably the Luminar Aspirant will pump the Kumano. I will not block. I will not block. At this stage I will not block. I will get 6. Okay, they just pump the Adversary. Okay, I think that was, I don't know if it was the best decision they could do. Surely I'm going to play Rune Force Champion. They have 1 red source untapped, which means that they have some sort of play with fire. Usually red source with 1 red source, usually they can play only dealing 2 damage, especially at instant speed. This is standard, so no lightning bolt. This is, I think, the only spell with 1 red instant that can do 3 damage to any target. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? It's just, 1 land untapped. So, or you can play, or you are going to play a spell or not. I don't know what you're going to do. Rune Force Champion in play. Let's search my library. I think Rune of Sustenance is my best option, especially against this deck. This deck tries to do a lot of damage ASAP, as soon as possible. Therefore, any life gaining strategy will ruin the plan of this deck. At this stage, I'm going to swing with my Kami. They didn't block. If they blocked, they needed to block with the 3 creatures. That's why I swing with my Kami, and that's why I put the Rune of Might on that particular creature and not the other creatures. And they just conceded. I didn't know what they were thinking about. Probably they didn't have any land. It was a fast game. Okay, let's play another game. Come on, let's play another game. I hope you are enjoying these games. I hope you are enjoying these videos. Opening hand, 4 lands. I told you, you drew only lands, or you don't draw only lands. So that's Arena. And I think you will recall some instance where you had opening hand with only 1 or 2 lands, or you had opening hands with 6 or 7 lands. I don't have anything to play, so I'm going to put the Rune of Sustenance on my Lair of the Hydra. I can use that land later on during this game. Is it colors? This is a very, very strong deck. Let's put the Rune of Might on my Hydra. If I would need that land later on in this game, those 2 enchantments will be quite useful. Magma Opus, which means that this could be Hinata with the gold Spend Dragon. Expressive Iteration, Explosive iteration, very strong sorcery, extremely strong sorcery. It's not a surprise that that card was banned in Pioneer. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Let's put a red source. At this stage I can play the Fable, or I could also play the Showdown of the Skulls. I'm afraid that he could have a counter spell, and that's why I didn't play Make Disappear. Okay, counter spell, I thought so. Thought so. Okay. I thought it was a is it, but it's not an is it. They have also a white source. Another explosive iteration. I told you, very strong card, very strong sorcery. There's a land. Now, the only option I have, I think, Kami of Transcience. Let's see what you have in hand. With 2 untapped lands and blue source, usually they have counters. I have to play Rune of Speed on my Kami. Okay, resource. That means that I will draw a card. Let's attack 4/4. They are at 16. I'm at 20. Can they remove my creature? Yes. Gold Pendragon. I told you this is a Hinata or with Gold Pendragon. That is their winning condition. Okay. Now they have a treasure, which means that they have an option of 2 mana of the same color, which means that could be easily a counter. I'm going to play Showdown of the Skulls, only because if I play my land, I'm afraid that they could have negate. Okay, thank you, negate. I'm afraid that they could have fade, so they can put my Lair of the Hydra back in my hand. Okay, I could play a Rune of Might and draw a Generous Visitor, Rune for Champion and Generous Visitor with a land in my hand. Okay, swing with Gold Pendragon, create a treasure. Now they have an option of 7 mana, 5 and 2, 8 mana, 6 and 2 treasures. Okay, an option of 8 mana with 5 cards in hand. Unless those cards are Hinata in play. Okay, I was saying that unless those 5 cards in hand were lands, the game would be over, but I don't think those are only lands. Yes, those are not lands. They have something they can play. This is the nice thing of Arena, that when you play a spell and there is a hold, it means that the opponent has something that he can do. Could be a trigger, could be a spell, could be anything. So you know what your opponent has. When you play real Magic, not Arena, these things doesn't happen. Voltage Search. My Generous Visitor is dead. Let's search my library for, let's see, option of 3. Let's put in play the Rune for Resistance. I'm trying to get some life, only because I don't have any flying, and because of Hinata, when I target a creature, I have to spend an extra 1 mana. So my opponent is at 1, I am at 20. Hinata and the Gold Pendragon, and he just conceded, which means that he didn't have anything. Hinata and the Gold Pendragon together are very, very dangerous. So this was the end of part 1 of this particular series. Bye bye, Naya Enchantment. Join me again for part 2, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.